What if I told you that recently 3 interesting UFO cases have emerged that we can't ignore by any means? A comedian captures mysterious objects at 45,000 feet. A Hollywood director finally breaks his silence about a massive craft that left him paralyzed with fear. And in Sedona, scientists are pointing cutting edge lasers at the sky, where the motto is, and I love this, when you realize how little risk and how much of a reward there is, why wouldn't you do it? I'm Cristina Gomez, and welcome to this episode of UFO News Updates.
You're still going clear. Or what do you get?
If you enjoy UFO news, updates, case studies, interviews, and more, then make sure to subscribe because UFO reports, UFO news deserve more attention than they typically receive. So please share this video and others from this channel on your favorite media platforms because this topic isn't going anywhere. Starting off with our first one. Who knows this guy? If you're watching this on YouTube, who knows this person on screen? His name is Howie Mandel, and I only know him from America's Got Talent. Okay, I don't know anything about his past or what he actually did to get on the show. I just know him from America's Got Talent that was so big in like 2012 until like 2016 or so, where I was just watching all of like the funniest blooper parts of it, or like the worst auditions. Like that was where it was at as a kid. And he is still doing that, but just very recently he captured footage from the cockpit of an aircraft flying at 45,000 feet over Texas. I'm going to show you the video in just a moment. And here there is some audio, and I'll also be sharing it with you in normal speed along with, there it is, along with slowed down speed and zoomed in as well. I don't know why my computer's glitching. This is live, so we just got to kind of hope for the best here.
Okay, so I'm in the cockpit of a plane.
So here it is. Let me know if you can hear the audio, and yes, it will zoom in just a moment. But what we're seeing here, and what Howie is mentioning, that again, that he filmed last week, and he posted it on his TikTok, of seeing the strange illuminating lights in the sky. It was multiple, and he kind of asked the pilots of, do you know what this is? What's going on? Okay, great, you have audio. Perfect. Let me hear it.
I don't know.
Look at it.
Yeah, so the pilot says, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the heck it is. But let's keep on listening to this.
And then it went away.
You see that? Very interesting stuff. And it looks like I'm not on the right one. Why is this playing? Even though I closed the file. Oh, cool. This is a new feature on StreamYard. Oh, this is so cool. I was able to just zoom in. Wow. Okay, that was really, really cool. So in this part right here, there's no audio. So I paused it through the screen. Very cool stuff. And yes, it looks like a blob, like nothing really exciting. I know, it's not exciting. But what is how Howie and the pilots reacted. So the video reveals luminous orbs behaving in ways that even left the pilots like very confused, and a single bright object appeared in the dark sky with no propulsion system visible before vanishing entirely. And then moments later, 2 similar objects appeared in different locations exhibiting identical behavior before disappearing once again. And then the reactions of the pilots, these are professionals with thousands of hours of flight experience. They were just genuinely left baffled. They're like, I don't know what to tell you. And these objects reportedly undetected on radar, which is always an interesting detail, displayed movements and behaviors that suggest advanced capabilities like cloaking, which is an interesting theory for someone like Howie to even address. But often, in this case, while some think that it might be due to cloaking, the orbs appeared in groups, often in formations of three. Genuinely, when we hear about these stories and these sightings, and yes, we're getting this blah, but we're actually looking at this. Oh, I can't. You can't see my little mouse, but it's not that big object that we're seeing. There's like two little specks in the sky that we're looking at that he is pointing that those are UFOs. And what these objects are, they're all very interesting, the ones that we're seeing. Really, it's the commentary that we're mainly interested in, and then the
Where?
that published it, right? Like he's someone that is well known. He is someone that has a big following. And the biggest thing, and what I always really enjoy talking about when it comes to these celebrities, is that they are setting a foundation for their fans to openly talk about this, to share their experience, to be courageous to do so because their idol did it, or like someone that they're just interested in. Things like this. And we're going to see that consistently in today's show. But for me, that's one of the biggest takeaways when talking about people in the media that have big followings talking about this. Now, you can think this video is genuine or not. I'm not going to tell you one way or the other, but I will mention that it was published by Howie. People in the comments on TikTok, many of them were like, interested in this, and there were also people in the comments stating I've had similar sightings, and that's something that I really like seeing, is just building off of that. And I received I think I got a message yesterday because I did a show with Jimmy about UFO sightings, like kids having UFO sightings and then them being seen around schools. I received a DM, and they had mentioned to me stating, I actually forgot about this, but I really want to share it with you. And because Jimmy had brought up a certain topic, it got my mind flooded with the memories from my childhood where this person saw a UFO. Him and his friends, they're all screaming, they're all pointing. Parents are standing on the side and they don't see it. They don't notice it. And they actually just brush off the kids and say, just go to school. Get out of my face. I don't care. I don't know what you're seeing. Get out of here. And we see that in a lot of kid movies where they are the protagonist and adults are the antagonist. But an event like that proves those kinds of movies to be true, where with the children, they're so excited, they're full of curiosity, and they're able to see many times a little bit better than adults do without those preconceived notions, without those perspective filters. While adults, they think they know everything and they say, yeah, sure, whatever. What do you know? You're only 6, 7 years old. You haven't gone through the experiences that I have. Therefore, if I'm not seeing it, then it's not there. Not entirely true. There have been countless stories of kids seeing ghosts, many kids having UFO sightings and following them for the rest of their lives. Kids seeing kind of freaky things in the corner that adults aren't able to see. A lot of reincarnation memories as well that they tend to lose in their adulthood because their present experiences kind of bury those ones from previous lives. But children seem to be very sensitive to these kinds of things. And I like the fact that Howie seemed very open-minded about this, spoke about this, published it immediately after it happened, versus some other celebrities, which we'll get into in just a little bit later, that kept their story within them for decades until we hit an era where this topic didn't make you lose your job, didn't make you sound crazy. Now we can have this conversation so openly, so easily, and it's amazing. We didn't have that a few decades ago at the level that we do now. And also, I want to say thank you to everyone watching this live, all of the live chats that are coming through. And Dickie says, my kids have seen a lot already. They're 8 and 4 years old. And what's so important in my eyes is parents willing to listen, because that's going to set a foundation for them in the future when they become adults to be more willing to share their experiences, to be more trusting, because parents are the foundation for children in every form of engagement with society and other humans outside of a family structure. So I think that's really awesome to hear that your kids are very honest with you to share their stories, and they trust you to do so as well. So that's great. Super says, in my day, we didn't have any fancy thingamajigs. We were bored all day and we liked it. Yeah, like drinking out of a hose, right? And then going home when the sun goes down. Yeah, that's fun. And then video games came along, and that was also pretty exciting stuff as well. That's right, Marnie. Please don't shut down your kids when they discuss their experiences. I am with you on that one. Hit that like button, says Steve. That is right. Hit that like button right down below. Super easy to do, and a great way to support this channel as well. Getting on to our next one, because we got a few cases to cover, a few things in the news to mention. So I'm going to get onto this one here. Since StreamYard kind of changed it up on me, I got to figure out how to reshare my screen. Just hang tight, because I want to give you the visuals. There it is. This guy right here. Does anyone know who this is on screen? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know in the comments. I didn't know who he was until reading up this article. AJ Raffles, thank you so much for the super chat. It says, what is the triangle patch on your arm? It's the Europa Clipper mission. Since I knew about it, I was like obsessed. I'm like, yeah, Europa, let's go. Alien dolphins, right? Alien whales and fishies. And then I got this patch. Actually, I bought this jacket for this patch. And I have a Mothman patch on my back. But I'm glad that you asked. It's pretty cool. Okay, so does anyone know who this guy is? No, he's not an astronaut, but that's an interesting guess. This person that we are seeing on screen right here is an award-winning, or a Grammy-winning audio engineer, Richard Factor, and he lives in Sedona, Arizona. Why is Sedona significant? When it comes to the topic of UFOs, why even mention Sedona? You probably know the answer, but if you don't, I got you. It is believed to be a huge UFO hotspot. People say that there are vortexes there, but then when you ask them what a vortex is or where to find it, they never have a straight answer for you. But you know what? I'm going to push that part aside from this conversation. There have been a lot of UFO sightings. Many of them have been reported. One researcher by the name of Cheryl Costa has mentioned from her research alone that Sedona is definitely in the top 3 in the United States for UFO sightings. And in this case, for this guy right here, what's really, really cool is that with his background in auto engineering, which again, he won a Grammy Award for, he received a technical Grammy in 2018. And he's also, here's the interesting part, remember this, he's also the president of the SETI League. SETI? Who knows what SETI means? I know you know, but I gotta ask anyway. It's the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. And he has taken an active role in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. And on his rooftop of his home in Sedona, he has installed laser SETI equipment, part of a broader project by the SETI Institute to scan the skies for laser pulses. Now, we know, we've covered this before, that SETI at home closed, like it stopped in the year 2020, and it ran for about 21 years, where anyone could be a part of SETI research, analyzing the data that was collected by SETI, just having literally millions of eyeballs scanning through the data. Nothing really popped up. Now we have Citizens for SETI, which has been going on for a few years, but in this case, Factor took it into his own hands to install equipment onto the roof of his home, and these pulses, being single wavelength signals, would serve as definitive proof of advanced civilizations, as no natural source can produce them that we know of. And the laser SETI network, which currently covers about 20% of the night sky with installations in Hawaii and California, can detect signals from up to 200 light years away. Isn't that, when you think about this mathematically, and my math is limited, okay, but that is diddly darn far. And for our equipment to do that, like civilian equipment to do that, it's cool. Now, Dr. Frank Marchis, the director of citizen science at SETI, suggests that extraterrestrial civilizations might use lasers for interstellar communication and spacecraft propulsion, or even to contact Earth. And a little fun fact, which I already mentioned, but I'll say it again in case you missed it, SETI at Home did run for 20 years, involving, and here's the exact number, 5.2 million participants worldwide. Can I be honest with you? I will, and I don't mind looking kind of silly. I did not know about SETI at Home until it closed in 2020. I was like, man, I missed it by a landslide. I would have loved to have been a part of it, even though they haven't found anything. And if they did, it hasn't been public knowledge. It would have been so cool to be a part of that conglomerate of a group of 5.2 million participants in the 20 years that it ran. And I know Skyhawk over here was a participant. He had mentioned that in one of our strange news when we covered it back in 2020. He was like, I was part of it. And I thought that was so cool. Yeah, diddly darn cool. That's right. That should be in the dictionary. Should be on a t-shirt as well. Like, it's a diddly darn fact, or just diddly darn anything. It's just such a great, it just rolls off the tongue so nicely. Here, oh, I like this image because he has to go to the roof. He created this scary looking staircase. It's not even a staircase. It looks like one of those not control towers, but those electrical towers that only trained people go up. That's what he made. And you know what? If you're fit and you can do it, I'm not judging you. Some experts, like late Stephen Hawking, have warned of potential risks associated with making contact with ET life, but SETI remains committed to transparency, and any signal detected would be quickly verified using more powerful telescopes, with the findings made public within days. Stop it right there. Should be made public immediately. Of course, as I had mentioned, it's got to be verified. Telescope's got to look at it. But I want to make that decision, right? Right? I can't be the only one here. In this case, Factor said something so simple, yet when I heard it in his interview, I found it so profound. And he said, when you realize how little risk and how much of a reward there is, why wouldn't you do it? I simply could not agree more there. Researching the topic about UFOs today in 2025, doing these kinds of technical work with SETI, you have nothing to lose. Maybe, a few thousand, depending on where you want to go with this. But just researching the topic, getting involved, just scanning through the data, you have nothing to lose. But the reward, if you find something like the wow signal, is way up here. That happened decades ago, but we're still talking about it today, referring to the wow signal. That's how much of a reward it was. And we haven't found anything that replicates the wow signal, which is disappointing. And that's a big reason to why we're still talking about it today. But he's right. He is just completely correct. There is nothing to lose. And here is an image of Sedona. You can probably guess why aliens are probably checking that place out. It looks so nice. You have red rock with vegetation. Vacation spot, please. Get me a hotel. It looks really nice. And I bet aliens thinking the same thing. I got another one for you. Another article. And actually, our last one. Does anyone know who this is on screen? I feel like you might. I feel like you might. And if you do know who this is, hit that like button right down below. Share the name in the live chat and in the comments as well. Because here, the world of UFO encounters isn't limited to researchers and scientists. Golden Globe winning director Peter Farrelly, known for the 2018 film Green Book, recently recounted a chilling UFO sighting from Halloween night in 1975 during an appearance on the Kevin Pollak Chat Show. Before I get into this one, because this is not only a juicy story, it's actually a great encounter. But I've got to say this. In many ways, I love the internet. I love how it operates. Articles everywhere are writing about him, talking about his UFO sighting like he just dropped this info. But I'm being transparent with you. Many of the articles didn't drop the original link to the interview, which I always find a little sketchy, and it makes my eyes squint of, okay, where is the actual video? Don't show me this clip. Don't write me the article with no place to back it up. Give me the goods. And guess what I found? Guess what I found out this morning? This interview that he gave talking about his encounter took place in 2013, but somehow the interview revived itself from the internet because nothing can actually be buried from the internet prying eyes. And now everyone's writing about it. All these media outlets are writing about it like he just dropped this last week. He didn't. This was 2013. However, we still got to cover it. It's still very interesting. We still got to see why these media outlets are talking about this, because there's obviously something to it. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Even though it didn't happen yesterday, it's still pretty cool stuff. Lou, thank you so much for the hard work with a walk. I enjoy walking. So thank you so much for that. And Cliff, big thumbs up for this channel. I appreciate all of you, everyone watching this live, all of the super chats here as well. And another great way to support this channel is just to hit that like button right down below, subscribe, and share these kinds of videos on your favorite media platform. Get other people involved, because we're not going to let UFO news and updates die. They get brushed off so quickly in the media. But with channels like these, where we're covering this every single day almost, you can't run away from it. Let's talk about this case, because I kind of sat down for this one. And while driving home from the University of Rhode Island at 3 a.m., him, at the time, he was about 18 years old, he witnessed what he described as a massive rectangular craft seemingly hundreds of yards above him with, quote, zillions of lights going like this, moving sideways and underneath. He actually did it like that in the interview, which I will place that link. It'll be embedded in the article that I write for this. You can find all of my articles for all of the shows on my website at ufonews.co. All right. Make sure to bookmark that, because not only do I write my articles on there, keeping you up to date on my latest research, but also it is an aggregate website. So whenever UFO news is mentioned in the media at all, it will pop up on ufonews.co. So you don't need to search all across the internet to get your fix on UFO news. You can find it all in one place at ufonews.co, not .com, .co. For For Peter, the experience was so overwhelming that he recalled his legs going weak and rubbery, making it very difficult to press the gas pedal because while this sighting was taking place, he was driving down the highway in Rhode Island and he's with a friend. So luckily there was another witness. And he had mentioned in the interview that at first he thought it was a helicopter. But as this craft was getting closer and closer, it looked way too big to be a helicopter. It had way too many lights to be a helicopter, and it made no sound whatsoever. In that moment, he looks at the passenger and he's like, "That's a flippin' UFO. Do you see that?" And this is 1975, which is, remember that. So he says it might have been, in this case, for his legs feeling rubbery where he couldn't press the gas pedal, that it was out of fear because he felt that maybe the blood flow wasn't getting to his legs. So that could have been a possibility. He tells his wife this encounter, and the wife asks, great question, do you think you were abducted? Like, what happened? He did not mention any missing time. He doesn't think that he was abducted by this craft, but that little detail of where his legs felt rubbery and he could no longer press the gas with the same level of effort. If anything, it took a lot more effort to maintain his speed on the highway. You might ask that question, do you think you were taken? But he doesn't think so. Then the incident took an unusual turn when the following day, he heard on the radio, on his favorite radio station, there was an advertisement asking anyone who has spotted a UFO ever. They didn't specify. And in this case, the radio says, call this number so that we can hear your UFO sightings. And he was 18, so he was still in school. He gets to his university. He goes to a phone box. This is 1975. He puts money in, and he immediately calls the radio station. He says, "Yes, I had the UFO sighting last night. Has anyone else reported their sighting? I want to hear it. I want to feel validated." But the radio station instead didn't give him any data, but asked for his name and asked for his address. Why? And why would he give his address? Then again, it is 1975. Times were different. You could trust people, so they say. But I would never. I wouldn't. Over the phone? Forget it. So he gives his name, gives his address, and then asks, okay, well, I gave you the goods. I had a sighting. Here's what happened. Has anyone else reported anything from last night at 3 a.m.? And the radio station says, oh, we're just collecting this information. We're just creating a poll. Nothing really specific going on here. Which, in today's world, we would classify that as a red flag. Not only is giving your address a red flag over the phone, but stating, oh yeah, give us your UFO sightings, here's the phone number. But they didn't specify in the advertisement that it was just for a poll, just for a bit of a laugh. And it only gets more strange, I promise you. Because in the time that he waits for the radio station to call Peter back, because the radio station said, if we get any information, we'll make sure to call you. 2 weeks passed by. No news whatsoever. There was no poll to be found in the newspaper. So he did what any impulsive 18-year-old would do. You could be 65 and still do this exact same thing that he did. He called the radio station again with that phone number that was in the advertisement. But the number had gone dead. There was no connection to that phone number. Why? If you were just collecting a poll, having a bit of a laugh, why would you disconnect that phone number a week to 2 weeks after? Another red flag is going on. And the radio station never repeated the request for UFO sightings after that. Reflecting on the experience years later, Peter he remains convinced of what he saw that night, stating this thing still doesn't, like, exist in today's world. And what he means by that is it's not our technology. This was 2013 when he gave his interview. He says there's no way it was a helicopter. There was no way it could have been military tech. Whatever I saw that night doesn't exist in our human technology. This big rectangular thing with no sound that just cruises over. So, I feel confident that it was a UFO. But whether it was from this planet or whatever, who knows? End quote. Even celebrities have contributed fascinating accounts of encounters with the unknown. Like actress Goldie Hawn shared a remarkable story from the 1970s, recounting how she encountered 3 silver-headed beings who touched her and then imparted a deep sense of benevolence. And this experience led her to explore mysterious crop circles and then delve deeper into the search for extraterrestrial life. Then her husband, who we know from the Phoenix Lights, one of the first reports, said, I saw something strange that night. And then Nick Jonas, who shared his encounter when he was 14, how he saw strange things in the sky in LA. And then even Fran from, the Nanny, great TV show during the time, mentioned that her and her ex-husband were allegedly abducted by aliens who implanted chips into their hands. There's a lot of actors, famous people across the board that have shared their sightings, their experiences, many cases years after it happened, with Goldie Hawn sharing her 1970s encounter. That was very recent. She just recently shared that on an Apple podcast maybe 2 years ago, something like that. Kurt Russell, even though he saw the Phoenix Lights in 97, he didn't share it until 2018 on the BBC. Fran didn't share hers until years later. Nick Jonas, on the other hand, when he was 14, this was 2011, give or take a little bit. He shared that just a few years later. But what we're noticing here, and the biggest takeaway, is that as the years have progressed and this conversation has become more digestible, these people are willing to finally share their experiences. I've done a whole show on celebrities. Another one is Camila Cabello. I don't know what her name is, but something along those lines. She also shared hers. Miley Cyrus as well. And the list goes on and on. We're living in such exciting times when people like this are willing to just talk about this publicly. But what do you think? Out of all the celebrities that that have had sightings, which one has been your favorite? I think right now, hearing this guy's story, it's pretty cool. He was young. He was about 18. He was with a friend, which is great, another eyewitness. They see a huge craft in the sky at 3 a.m., with the witching hour. Strange things are always happening at 3 a.m. And he makes a public report on the radio station, and how the radio station reacted is a very telling sign. If you were to ask me, now are you asking me? I like to think that you are. And in that case, I gave you my explanation. But I'd like to hear it from you. Which ones have been your favorite? Stargazer says Baron Davis, where he had mentioned that he was taken by these half hybrid looking creatures. That's a pretty interesting one. I agree. And Dan Aykroyd, my favorite. That's a good one, where he was on the phone. So 2001? He was on the phone with Britney Spears, and he encounters the Men in Black. So he says, and he did a whole document. He's done a recent one actually about UFOs and conspiracy theories. But in the early 2000s, he was running a show about UFOs and it ended up never airing, which is a telling sign as well. No, Red. I haven't had anything happen to me at 3 a.m. that I know of. But it is the witching hour for many. Many people experience very weird things during that time frame, but I have not. Also, I have insomnia, so 3 a.m. is just another day for me. It's just it's another 7 a.m. kind of deal. And I take like the weirdest naps. They're strange. Just like the weirdest times of the day. Power naps of 20 minutes at my desk. I'm like, I'm ready to go. Also, caffeine gets me through. It does. If you enjoyed the show, hit that like button right down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you enjoy UFO news, updates, case studies, interviews, and more, that is it for today's show on UFO news updates, which we try to do every single week. Make sure to also share this episode on your favorite platform as well. And lastly, bookmark ufonews.co, not only to read my articles about the latest UFO research, but also whenever UFOs are mentioned in the news, it will show up on ufonews.co first. I want to say thank you to all of the super chats and super stickers, to all of my amazing moderators, all of my YouTube members and Patreon. You guys know I can't do this show without you. That is it for today. I will see you next time. Be safe, and remember, keep your eyes on the skies. If you enjoy the strange and the mysterious, UFOs, the paranormal, and cryptids, this channel is for you. So make sure to subscribe, as I do 3 videos right here every single week, and hit that notification bell so you do not miss any of the bonus content I post right here.